Hey everyone, my name is Maddie. I'm a 22-year-old competitive climber from Canada, currently living near Toronto. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB Training Series, where I record most of my training, provide in-depth analysis of each session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. So today we are going back to where I grew up and did most of my training when I was a youth climber, and that is the KW area / Wellington County. So right now we're actually in Guelph, which I think is part of Wellington, but it's not technically part of KW. And I was born in Kitchener, so Kitchener is the K in the KW. But either way, I spent a lot of time training at the Guelph Grotto, so it's really cool to be back in this area. Like, it's very familiar to me, and I think it's about like 20 minutes from my parents' house, so it's very, very close. But it's like an hour from Climbers Rock, maybe half an hour. So yeah, they recently actually redid their entire gym, which is crazy because it was one of the very first gyms in the country to open. So when they redid it, a lot of people were, it's like a little hidden nostalgia, when you go in, and then when they redid it, it just looks so different. That, yeah, it is a little bit sad to have the end of an era with the climbing gym, but of course they didn't close. They just kind of made it better. So yeah, it's all good. I came to the Grotto today because I have like a coordination / balance session. Now, just a quick update on me. Obviously, I've been putting out vlogs, which doesn't give me a good opportunity to talk about like where I'm at with training and what my sessions really look like and what my kind of year looks like. So I'll just give you a quick update. I'm about a week and a half into my training cycle. Or this month's training cycle. So I was just on rest week, and then I did some climbing, and you saw most of it. And it was a rough first 3 days. Like, I was completely wrecked. I had a lot of new exercises. You saw from my endurance video, like that was like the worst session of endurance I've ever had. Yeah, it was a really, really hard first 3 days, and I was like, how am I ever going to get through the rest of the cycle? But almost immediately, I got used to all of the exercises and all the kind of the pacing of my days. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. But yeah, those first 3 days were rough, and I was very tired every day, and I wasn't a big fan of training at that point. But now we're just on the other side of it, and yeah, I'm getting more used to kind of what I've been given in my training. Now, as you know, I do have a coach, Libor Rosa. He's actually the speed coach of the Canadian team, and yes, he's also very good at doing boulder and lead training. This month, he's given me quite like a really high volume training load. So I'm actually doing 3 days on and then 1 day off, 3 days on. So yeah, it's probably once a season I have a month where I do this like high volume 3 days load kind of cycle. And yeah, it's very difficult, and it's very, like, there's a big emphasis on recovery and rest. So there's also a big emphasis on balance and slab, because my off-the-wall training is so intense, like the weights and the hangboarding, that I actually get really, really bad at endurance and power. So the only sessions I have when it comes to climbing are endurance, coordination / balance, which is what we have today, and I have a social session at the twice a week, I think. So it's very, very moderate, no projecting, no long, powerful sessions, no max effort, anything. It's just basically about the off-the-wall training during this phase. So that said, I didn't really realize that at first when I started training this new cycle. I was like, oh, let's get on like my normal stuff. But I started doing so poorly on them, on like powerful boulders, that I was like getting really demoralized. And I realized there's a reason he gave me like balance and coordination instead of like projecting, because I literally just can't handle it right now. So that said, I've been on the hunt for vertical kind of gyms. Like, Climbers Rock is an amazing gym, but we have a lot of overhang, and right now I just can't handle it. So I've been looking around for gyms that have a lot of vert, and the new Grotto has a lot of vert. So today's session, the morning session is supposed to be coordination, and the afternoon is supposed to be balance. But because, it's kind of slim pickings when it comes to those two kind of things in Ontario, I decide to always kind of mix them together. So when I went to the Grotto today, I just kind of picked out every single boulder that was either coordination or balance, and I did them all. Or I at least tried them all, I should say. So this is the third boulder I think I tried today. And this one, it just kind of had an awkward start. The rest is like, this is a little bit powerful, this like mantle here. But luckily I'm able to like kind of drop my hips and like have that compensate for the lack of dip strength. But yeah, it's actually interesting. The Grotto is extremely stiff, which is great. Like I love a stiff gym, but yeah, it made for some very difficult slabs. And I was kind of thinking like maybe I'll be like kind of no handsing a bit. Maybe I'll be more using my feet, but no, they are all power slabs, which is like it's good to keep in mind that this gym does have power slabs. But again, very difficult session. I was getting a little tired throughout the session, but I was really happy though with the sets because I didn't actually have to make anything up. Usually I've been kind of, getting a kind of a canvas of boulders to kind of take holds away or make kind of a coordination boulder in the middle. But because I haven't been to the Grotto in a long time, I haven't tried any of the boulders. And they happen to have a lot of coordination stuff up. They did have enough for me to have an entire session. And they were hard enough that I didn't flash them right away. So this one I think was probably the hardest of the day. It says purple tape is the second hardest tape color. And this boulder is like perfect for this drill, like, coordination, foot stab, like a little bit powerful, but not too crazy. This took me a long time. Like you can see, I'm just like falling all over it. I'm kind of experimenting between like flipping the hand and just catching the foot or going two hands, maybe trying to do it statically. Like I was definitely trying everything. But I had to actually walk away from this boulder. I do come back to it later on, but yeah, that was a little crazy. I felt like I just kept dry firing off it. It felt like it wasn't possible. Anyway, part 2 of the session here is repeats. So this is where when you run out of coordination and slab, you end up just doing repeats. And I kind of haven't been doing this very often lately. I'm not very good at repeats. I find that sometimes I pick boulders that are too hard. But the point of repeats is to pick a boulder, whether you've done it or not, and do it over and over again until you have it perfect. And what I mean by that is like you're moving as efficiently as possible. You have the best beta possible for your body type. So I went back to this boulder because I felt that the beginning sequence was a little awkward. So I was like, maybe I can make that a little bit less awkward. So, I kind of neglect my repeats because they don't seem quite as important as like getting a new movement or practicing a coordination drill that I'm like really bad at. But I've come to realize that repeats are extremely important because something I struggle with a lot in climbing is climbing with like good beta and like finding the right position to move through a boulder. I typically go through boulders the hard way, and repeats is something that helps alleviate that. So when you get on a boulder and you keep repeating it, you kind of train your body to learn what the best, most efficient way to move through a move is. So when I'm on these 2 boulders, it happened to turn out that the beta I used was the best beta. I actually couldn't find any other beta that worked for either of these boulders. So what I ended up just doing is doing the exact same move I did when I sent it again and again. I think I only did it maybe once or twice again, but yeah, just dialing in, like getting your body to keep practicing the moves that are correct. The moves that, take the least amount of energy and, are closest to maybe the sequence that setter was going for, or just the sequence that your body is best at completing. Another problem I also have with repeats is sometimes I pick a boulder that's too hard, and it's literally just a hard send to begin with. And sometimes I will waste time because I only have like 90 minutes to do this first session and 60 minutes to do the second session. So oftentimes I'll spend too much time trying to actually send a boulder and project it. But I don't have enough time to repeat it after the fact. So I just kind of give up before I even send it and move on. So that's what a lot of my repeat sessions have looked like in the past like month. It's just me literally projecting something like 3 or 4 attempts and then like realizing this is not a good boulder to do repeats on, and then my session's over. So today I tried to like really do actual repeats. And then again, right here, you can see I just stuck this boulder, this move, and then dry fire. All right, so session 2 was at Grand Rocks. So Grand Rocks, I'd say I spent more time at than the Grotto. So this is Grand River's second location, the Waterloo location. The Kitchener location is where actually I started climbing. It's the first gym I ever went to, and for the first 2 years of my climbing career, I hadn't even left the doors of Grand Rocks Kitchener. So yeah, right now the Waterloo location is Boulder only, so it's actually a little bit better for my sessions these days. Kitchener is actually closing soon, which is very upsetting to me because it is one of my favorite gyms, even if I don't climb there very often anymore. Sentimental reasons, whatever. But Waterloo is a really, really good gym too. And I haven't been to this gym quite as much. Definitely I've been to the Grotto more. But Grand Rocks Waterloo I've definitely been to at least 10 times. And yeah, it's a really, really great gym. The setters like Jack and Jake are really, really solid, really psyched on comp climbing, and they've got lots of good holds. It's just a great gym. So it was a no-brainer to go to Grand Rocks today. Now I was surprised if you think back to the session right before Zach and I left for nationals. Zach did a mock comp here. All of the boulders are actually still up, which was really solid. So I was able to try some of the boulders that Zach was doing, and I can confirm they are very, very difficult. Even though he flashed most of them, those were super hard boulders. So I start this boulder. So this was one of his as well in the mock comp. And this is the most awkward start in the world. You have to obviously launch into this corner, but the foot is facing out. So it pushes you kind of outwards. And then the hands that you're going for are super shallow. This is a really hard move, and Zach made it look super solid. It took me a few attempts, but I did stick this guy. And then I was going to send the boulder, and I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to that kind of scary finish move. So I get into the position, and I look up at it, and I'm like, no way. So I just drop off. It is very far, and I have some splits that are kind of on their way to being real legit splits. So I was like, it's not worth getting a split over this. And it's scary. I don't usually go for scary moves in training. And then we got a little paddle. I always do every paddle I see in the world, unless it's a super hard one or something. So this paddle was really solid. It's a blue tape, which is, it's blue, purple, black is the hardest. So yeah, it was a moderate, but it was definitely always good to get some paddle practice in for me. And then there's this boulder. So again, today's supposed to be coordination, balance. This is not really any of those things, but I was kind of running out-ish of boulders. So I decided to get on this boulder because it looked a little comp style, and Jake is one of the setters, and he's actually one of the people I started climbing with at Grand Rocks. He was on the youth team. But he's a setter here now, and he's a really good setter, and he told me to try this boulder, so I did. And I'd say it is my style in general, but like I said, I'm pretty low on power right now. So it was kind of touch and go. And after this attempt, I got really tired, and I was like, I don't know that I can do this again. But then Jake was like, you gotta try it again. And Jake was actually watching on this attempt right here. So I got on it again. And you can see I'm finding these big wrap rests that I didn't kind of see on my first attempt. Because with volumes, oftentimes you can find a nice kind of resting point if you kind of have your wrist angled a certain way. But yeah, when I found these rests, I was like, okay, because it's so tiring. It's on an overhang and it's huge volumes. I'm getting tired and tired. And then I find a quick rest, and I think I'm about to find one right there. Yeah. And it just helps 10%. And then we're just going, and I slip. So that was really, really upsetting. Because I lost so much energy on that attempt. I was like, there's no way I can do that again. So, sure enough, I try it one more time, and I'm way more fatigued. I try to pop up for this. I don't even stick it. I was absolutely toast after that attempt. Now, unfortunately, I still had maybe 20 or 30 minutes left in my session. So I got on the wall with Julia. So this is Julia, and she's getting super strong, and she was showing me how to do this blue tape. And she was actually making it look super solid. It looks so clean. And she's been having trouble right at the crux move of this boulders, going up to the crimp. And so she was showing me how she gets up there. I was trying to remember all her beta. But when I got on the wall, I completely forgot everything that she did, apparently. And I was just trying to strengthen my way through it, I guess, even though I was pumped from the last boulder. And I was doing all sorts of whack stuff. And I was like, this doesn't feel like the way Julia did it. This doesn't feel the same. So yeah, I was messing around. Honestly, I'm kind of embarrassed by this attempt. It was really bad. I go right hand to the crimp, which is a big no-no. She went left hand for sure. And now I'm like, I have my left hand over here. She didn't even go this far to the left. And like at one point, I'm like trying to, like on one hand, I'm trying to remember what she did. On the other hand, I'm also trying to just like do the beta that's like in front of me that I'm like kind of forcing myself into. And I'm like pumping out, like this is just like the worst attempt ever. So I don't know, am I gonna fall soon? Like I don't understand. Yeah, okay, there we go. We're falling, and then we're gonna see Julia again. So now she like shows me again how it's done. And this is actually, I think this is the first time Julia is about to stick her like crux move, which is this crimp move. And when I got up there, I actually realized just how hard this move is. So yeah, that was really, really solid. She was like super psyched to get that. And then this last move is even harder than that move. So I finally, like I looked at her beta a bit more. I realized I missed the jug around the corner, so I'm gonna use that. And yeah, I tried to really study her beta this time to make sure I don't do something crazy. So everything's looking a lot better. I had a little bit more rest too after that last boulder, so that really helped. And then we're gonna go up finally with the correct hand, the left hand. And then now I'm like, okay, she told me to press on the right hand like that, so I did that a little bit. And then once you get up here, you press on that, and then it's all looking good. And then we're getting up to this crimp part. And I actually didn't think it would be too big a deal, this move, because I'm generally pretty good at these moves, but it was tough. Like you can see I barely stick that crimp. I have to pull it back when I hit it. And then, yeah, this last move I realized is the crux move. So I'm kind of doing some awkward, like careful move to try to match this thing, but that is super hard. That's probably bordering on like a purple tape at this point. But Julia, she did try it again, but again, we're both like at the end of a session, you just always have so much more fatigue than you did originally. So unfortunately, she didn't get to send it, but I'm sure she will because it was just set, I think. So I'm sure she'll go back and get that done. But that was my entire session, or my entire day, I should say. I had a quick like plyo workout, so I was doing some like box jumps and some negatives and all that sort of stuff. They have a really good workout area in their gym here, so I took advantage of that, and I was done pretty late. Like I was done maybe like 6:37. Stopped at Booster Juice, of course, and then head home. And then this is day 1 of 3. So tomorrow is campus, and then the day after is just another long day of training. So you can tune into that.